just come to Chickamangalo. This is a processing plant. This is the start of the season, so you can already see that the warehouse is already completely full of coffee. The season's going to go from January right through to March. They could process up to 80 tonnes of coffee a day. That's 4 container loads. This is the first part of the coffee process. This is where the parchment gets dropped through here into the hopper. This is a pre-cleaner, so this takes all the dust and all that broken parchment off the coffee. From there it runs over up through these tubes into a destoner. This is where all the stones and metal are removed through this machine here. This is a vibrating screen which has a vacuum sucker on it which sucks out all the lighter coffee up, leaving heavy particles behind. From there, the polisher, this machine here will actually polish the coffee. This actually takes the coffee and gives that nice shine, takes off that last little bit of parchment that could have been left from the hulling process. From here it goes into a centrifugal sieve. This sieve here will vibrate. All the heavy particles will go to center and it'll separate things like seeds and corn and other foreign objects that the destoner didn't pick up. It just shows you what the centrifugal bed does. It actually separates the good coffee from the rubbish. Still got a lot of cherry and fruit left on here, plus other things like seeds that have been caught up in the process. What we're looking at here is a mechanical grading machine. This is a vibrating bed which is going to separate all the different sizes of the coffee before it's actually put further through the process. After the grading, we come to the gravity separator. This is where it takes the heavies from the lights. So you can see there's 2 trays here. This is the lighter coloured beans. This will get re-put back through to separate the peaberries. That's a heavier bean there. You can see the peaberries have been separated. I'm in the colour sorting room. This machine has replaced hundreds of workers actually manually picking the black dark beans from the good coffee. This machine can process up to 4 tonnes an hour. This is a new labour-saving process they've just implemented at this factory. They're actually putting the coffee now, after the sorting, into bulk bags, and then it can be picked up with a forklift and stacked into another room ready for the shipment. Look how big these silos are and these big bulk bags. This is where the coffee comes in the bulk bags. It gets actually blended in this middle machine here. So A coffees and the Bs get mixed together for A Bs, then repacked and sent off around the world.
Okay, here we are in Mangalore. We're on the coast and I've been looking forward to this all week. We're in the Moonsooning plant. Here you can see all the coffees behind me. 3 months ago this would have been all over the floor, probably 6-8 inches high. And what happens in the process, it actually sits here for a good 45 to 50 days. In that time the monsoon winds are coming in off the ocean and the humidity off that is getting in the bean. The salt's getting into the bean which bleaches the coffee. From then the process, it's turned every day, and as you can see in the cards here, this is actually the chart to make sure that it's turned at the right times and the right days. From there, it's then bagged. They put them in what they call a half bag, and it'll sit here for another 45 to 60 days. They're in half bags, so when they turn them, that's a lot easier, and they're turned regularly, so the moisture content is consistent from top to bottom. From there, it'll go into the grading room and through the rest of the processing plant. It's really quite loud in here, but I wanted to show you the final process. After the coffee's been sorted, it comes through the colour sorter here, comes onto the conveyor, then has final pick over by the ladies. And here we have the finished product, the beautiful Monsoon Malabar coffee. I love this coffee. I used it back in my roastery back in Melbourne. I'm so happy to be here and see it firsthand. Here's the final product, the famous Monsoon Malabar Arabica coffee. You can see the distinct colour of the monsooning process. I can't wait to get this back home and roast this coffee up.
girls in this room are doing a final pass-over of the coffee. We've seen the use of colour sorters throughout all of India. Hand sorting is still a preferred method used by most of the coffee companies. Most coffee brokers and buyers prefer this method of hand passover to get higher quality coffees at the end. You'll find the girls will be pulling out the defects like unripe beans, broken and chipped beans to get those higher quality end product. As coffee consumers, seeing labour-intensive methods like this make you really appreciate the product more. The ladies who do this type of work are very serious and passionate about the end product.
While Sean's in talking to the girls, I'm out here in the bagging room now. All the hard work has been done, it's been bagged up, and you can see by here, this is the grading of the coffee. This will determine where the coffee is sent around the world, and hopefully some of this ends up back in my roastery back in Melbourne.
We've seen a lot of different things in India when it comes to coffee processing and growing. But one thing that's common to all parts of the world in coffee growing is the cupping room. This is where the flavours are going to translate into the end beverage from bean to cup. Very excited about this. We're going to enter the cupping room now. How we cup coffee here, we basically grind 10 grams of coarse ground coffee, a bit like you would with a plunger. Then we're going to add 200 mils of hot water around about 96 degrees, and we're actually going to let that settle for a few minutes. And what's going to happen, all the heavy coffee is going to float to the bottom, then you'll get a crust on top of the cup. We scoop that crust away. We're separating the solids from the liquid. Then we also let it cool down a bit longer, and we put it into these bowls. And these bowls are going to allow it cool down a little bit back to above room temperature, and then we'll cup from these bowls.
Okay. With this cupping, we'll look at pulling out the flavour profiles. Hopefully we'll be able to find the sweetness, any of the florals and the fruits.
And look at also the body of the coffee. That's going to be the thickness in our mouth. Something we really do look for when we do coffees back home, especially espresso.
How's that taste, Sean?
Beautiful. What I'm getting here is some upfront acidity, a nice sweetness, good body, nice thick body in that coffee. And then I can start to taste the flavours. That aftertaste I'm getting is those fruity, sweet, a little bit of licorice there. Beautiful flavoured coffees. Let's move on to the next one.
So Sean, what do you think?
Fantastic. Had a great experience today with these Indian coffees. Lots of fruit, lots of spice, beautiful. I'm now a fan of Indian coffee. I bet you can't wait to get back to your roastery, Steve, and test out some of these great coffees.
Yeah, looking forward. I can't wait to get a lot of these different Indian coffees back, the Malabar coffees, and get them in the roastery and see what we can produce back in Melbourne.
Fantastic. This wraps up our 10-day Indian coffee tour. Steve, what have you got out of this tour?
What I've got is a great appreciation for Indian coffee, and it was great to see the high altitude Shane growed coffee. They get a smaller yield, but the quality is a lot better, so it's fantastic for the future of Indian coffee.
Fantastic. And Pathy, do you see a future for Indian coffee in Australia?
First of all, thank you guys for spending the last 10 days. It was a good opportunity for me to take you around to show the plantations, the processing, and what we have to offer. In India, coffee's been there for 400 years now, but in an international or even in Australia, it's not well recognized. We produce one of the best coffees in the world, and hopefully this documentary will help spread the message that we have quality coffee and specialty coffee to offer to the world, and as well as Australia.
I'd like to thank you again, Pathy, for taking us around on this exciting journey, and Steve for being a great travelling companion. I hope we all have a great appreciation now for how good Indian coffee is. We're here with my friend from Melbourne, Steve. This warehouse will be fully full within a few days. All right, I'll do it again. Yeah.